and gentlemen, we are joined here tonight by Mr. Krishnakumar Natrajan, Chairman NASSCOM, and Mr. Dinesh Gulati, Director of IndiaMART.com. I'd like to begin with you, Mr. Natrajan. You were an early supporter of the e-commerce business in India. Today, that's a space that's seeing a lot of activity from young startups, but many of them don't really make it. They go bust within a couple of years. What's your advice to them?
See, I certainly think the e-commerce is a big opportunity in India, and clearly the ones which are going out of business is in areas where you really need to invest a lot in logistics and distribution. The sheer potential and the reach of internet will certainly support businesses which are unique, which are executed well.
Mr. Gulati, you've been in the online space since the 1990s. What's your experience been like? What do you think young entrepreneurs today should watch out for, especially given the market conditions?
Most of the time it so happens young entrepreneurs following the herd mentality, and that's what's precisely happened in e-commerce the last couple of years, where we had clutter and then suddenly young entrepreneurs realized that it is going to be a long haul business. They need to invest, they need to be patient, and that's where they lost out. We happen to be, though we started almost 17 years back, but I think we knew that from day one that we wanted to be in marketplace rather than, working on a typical B2C or inventory model. So I think our idea was very clear. That's what I would like to advise. Second, I think clearly to young entrepreneurs, embrace technology. There is so much happening, there's so much available already in the market. Rather than reinventing the wheel time and again, I think there is enough and more which we can embrace, which we can imbibe from day one.
In a B2C category, while the business makes all its effort to satisfy or delight its customer, are customers willing to put their trust into a small, little-known brand as opposed to a well-known large corporate?
I think one of the great opportunities in the online medium is today, like Dinesh rightly said, there are technologies by which you can seamlessly improve your engagement with the customer. You sort of keep feeding them with the relevant news, you start building the relationship with them. But once the relationship barrier is crossed, I think people just do not only want to buy from the big branded companies, they must see a value in what you're doing and they will trust you, because clearly I think the mindset of even consumers are changing.
Now, you mentor a lot of companies on a daily basis. What is their biggest challenge? Would you say access to finance is still a huge hurdle in the SME sector?
I think capital at certain stage, really at the growth level, could become a constraint, but that's really not constraining their need. I think building a great team, I think is really on the, I would say, the #1 priority for enterprises which are growing. The ability to scale the team and really have people who are as passionate as the initial team is important. You want guys who have done it, been there, and want to come and deliver immediately. Let me tell you, there's never something which is ready who will straight away come and join and start delivering you. I think there is a certain obligation for you to really hire for attitude and then invest time to build those people to understand your business. So I think building the team is the #1 challenge which I see enterprises which are growing very fast really face. Capital at the end of the day, believe me, I think today enough of capital is available for smart entrepreneurs who have great ideas. Enough of capital. There is more capital chasing good entrepreneurs.
Now, Mr. Gulati, you were talking about building access for Indian SMEs. As far as talent is concerned, how does one build access to talent for the SME sector?
Today I think environment is very, very different. We have so many successful business models which are encouraging young pass outs to look out for these kind of entrepreneurs. I think rather than acquiring these people as employees, I think we need to look at, can we make them partners in our business, which is extremely critical. Rather than employing them and then making them typical employees, you need to look at them as true partners in their business. And that's where you will be able to not only attract but retain the good talent.
But sir, in a sector like IT, every fresher who passes out wants to join an Infosys, a Mindtree. How do the SMEs compete with that? How do they compete with the work environment, with the pay packages that you all offer?
See, I would tend to think if you were to look 5-6 years back, people made a beeline for the larger companies. Clearly, I have heard a lot of students passing out saying that, in a way, what they said means that I don't want to be an ant in an ant hill. At the end of the day, a large company like TCS is 250,000 people. Infosys is about 170,000 people. What is it I'm going to be there? One in 170,000? There are people who are certainly wanting to make a difference, because ultimately I think people want to learn, they want to be recognized, and they want to make an impact. And interestingly, this is the time when a lot of internships happen, particularly in engineering colleges. The level of interest for people graduating out of engineering institutions to work in startup has been completely unprecedented. I think people really work for people. And I think that's a great advantage available in startups, the accessibility to management, the ability to make an impact, and overall, I think getting that sense of doing something which I created rather than being an ant in an anthill. I think that's the big difference.
Now, you travel to some of the best management schools in the world today. What are the sort of best practices and lessons that Indian SMEs can take from their global counterparts?
See, clearly the key thing is the idea is important. But beyond the idea, how do you really create quickly the first proof of concept? What happens with entrepreneurs is many times we get obsessed with our idea. Frankly, if that's not what the customer is wanting, there's no way you're going to be able to change the customer. You have to change yourself. So certainly one of the best practices, I think, is the whole notion of lean startups. I think it's your idea, the power of the idea, how are you making value to the customer?
That's well said, the power of the idea. Let's have a huge round of applause on that note. And thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. Your words of wisdom have really helped all the SMEs present here tonight.